My name is Jayachandran. Today I will talk about this customer complaint processing for a medical devices manufacturer. So the business scenario is like this. Company A, it's a manufacturer of medical devices, and the devices are actually used by multiple hospitals and diagnostic centers. But once actually the device is sold, and after some time, after some usage, customers will face some problem and they will raise some tickets. And this could be for multiple reasons. They might be asking for some information on the product, or getting some clarity on technical specifications, or it could be like they're facing some issue with the product itself and they raise a complaint and so on and so forth. So the customers actually use or raise the tickets through either a chat or help desk. And once the ticket is raised, currently the way it is happening is like there is a help desk agent and they understand the ticket and then assign that to various groups. So the company actually wants to do automation to basically process these tickets and then put them into the right category for faster resolution. So the problem statement is like the company receives thousands of tickets per day for various devices. And since the number is very high, a lot of agents are actually required to manually go into the tickets and then look at like what is the category of the ticket and then assign to the right group, whether it belongs to the product management or sales or service or marketing and operations and so on and so forth. But there is a problem here because since the devices are actually highly technical in nature, the agents have to be highly skilled to understand the problem and assign the ticket to the right group. So sometimes, like if the agent is not very experienced and they don't have the right skill, then the manual categorization can be error prone as well. So since they have business SLAs associated to each of these devices, sometimes if there is actually a large volume of ticket and there is actually delay in assigning these tickets, then there is some penalties which are actually associated for not responding to the ticket and at the same time not resolving the tickets on time, and that also leads to customer dissatisfaction as well. So now let's look at the task analysis. So we have the target user who are actually the director of sales, product management, operations and service. The task on hand is like automatic classification of customer tickets for faster assignment and resolution. Now let's look at into the task in detail. So the way it actually starts is like a ticket gets the trigger is basically a ticket gets raised in the CRM by the customer, and once the ticket is actually raised, there is an agent who just acknowledges the ticket that they have received the ticket. After that, there is a data processing stage where ticket, if it contains any potential PA information, that is actually masked. Post that, actually the ticket is classified into the right category by a machine learning model. And once that is done, then actually the tickets gets assigned to technicians in the CRM system. The technician actually takes a decision after understanding the problem, what is the right solution, and then actually implement it on the site. Post that, actually the customer actually evaluates that particular resolution and sees like if the device is working or not, and they actually provide the feedback back. So the final objective is like provide the service to the customer within the agreed service level agreements. Now, this is the user experience design for user input. So whenever the customer actually has a particular problem, they actually get into this particular system and then they enter their customer ID, the product ID, which location is this currently the product is actually there, what is the invoice number of that particular product, whether they have actually purchased the annual maintenance contract or not, and they actually provide the description. It could be like for information purpose or the malfunctioning of the devices, any of those kind of stuff, and then submit it. Once they submit this, actually the workflow starts, and the agent can actually start seeing this ticket in their CRM system. So in terms of like what is the kind of the transparency of the model and other stuff. So if you look at it, like, each ticket actually consists of the product information, the customer information, type of problem, what is a problem description, and so on and so forth. So initially, like when we actually provide the more details to the customer, we need to kind of provide the data understanding as well. Like, I mean, how is the distribution of tickets actually coming these various days or various weeks and other stuff. And also, like we also provide some view of like some word clouds and other stuff. And then we also take the labeling of the tickets from the SME so that actually we can build the model. The data is actually split as per the regular process, 70, 20, and 10 for training, validation, and test. And finally, we use a named entity extraction model as well as like the text classification is done by XGBoost and random forest model. And for model evaluation, we also need to show like how accurate or how precise our model is. So we use the confusion matrix and also show those results in terms of the number of false positives and true positives and other stuff. So that customer also informed about the overall the output metrics. In terms of transparency, we use ALI 5. It is actually a Python package which is used to inspect machine learning classifiers and explain their predictions. So in this case, like since we have text classification, ALI 5 will actually highlight the part of the text which is actually having more importance in terms of classifying a particular ticket to a particular category. So if you look at it like how is like this in the CRM system, the ticket is raised, it goes into the model, and how are you actually explaining the uncertainty? So in this case, if you look at it like the ticket got classified into multiple categories. Product information is 5%, product malfunction 60%, product maintenance related 30%, and product development related 5%. So net like around 90% it is actually related to malfunction and maintenance. So the ticket gets classified into the malfunction category. And once that is actually there, the ticket is assigned to the technician in the corresponding queue. So that's how the technician starts to know about the ticket and start working on that particular ticket. So in terms of privacy considerations, this is actually a medical device complaint data. So there are like very limited PII information. It's mostly product related information. However, like there are occasions when the customers actually input some of their email IDs and name and phone number and other stuff to call back and other things in their in the ticket description itself. So this is not something which is actually required for analysis, and because of that, this information is masked before processing. Post resolution of the ticket, the feedback is actually sent in the form of email communication as well. So this is actually resolved, and they can actually physically see it as well because the technician will be on the ground. But since this is actually some PII data is there, GDPR is actually applicable. So we need to ensure like we are not storing any of those email ID, name, and phone number of the customers also in our systems. HIPAA is applicable as because this is actually related to medical devices and health and other stuff. So HIPAA is also applicable. In terms of ethical considerations, the fairness part is not applicable because this is not actually related to any classification of customers or those kind of data related to them. In terms of accountability, because these are related to complaint of medical devices, and these medical devices are actually used for actually the patients, right, in the hospitals and diagnostic centers, other stuff. It is important like these tickets are actually assigned quickly and also resolved quickly. So there is an accountability from the operations director to ensure that, and the regular audits are actually done to ensure that there is no model drift, because the tickets should not be like wrongly classified and we send a wrong technician to the site, then that means like time is lost and the devices are not available for the hospital and the diagnostic center. So a constant audit is actually required to ensure there is no model drift, and retaining is done for the new data. Transparency, as I already explained, like we use ALI 5, which is actually used to provide the model explainability. Thank you.